first like week or two of February is when they kind of got boosted up to like the mid 70s, and then it just stayed consistent from there.
Yeah, he kind of got that one big Como raid, and then he really just crushed it after that. Like, he really was on fire for like a good 2 months there, so that was exciting with Luch getting partner for sure.
Okay, so I'm sending out the links for the podcast here right now.
Okay, beautiful. I'll retweet anything. I'll put it out in my Discord too.
And then you can hang around in chat, keep an eye out, because everyone always, there's always at least a few people that, like, at the person I'm interviewing want them to answer it directly, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it ego to host myself? I don't think so.
No, you can definitely host yourself.
I mean,
it automatically does anyway.
Yeah.
Live.
Well, I'm hosting on my other account, though, so.
Oh, yeah, why not? Might as well.
I mean, it's like, it's technically me, and even though it's, I guess, theoretically, you know, theoretically I shouldn't be doing it, it's also like, well, at the same time, it's me, so I'm technically just double promoting.
For me, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I'm technically just double promoing myself, really. If you think about it, that's all I'm doing.
I was the only one who ever. Me and you
I was just
were the
looking
only
on,
ones that ever
I was looking on Twitter real quick, and I just saw the Blue Jays pitching coach just arrested for driving under the influence. Dang.
Ew.
So it's gonna be not what you want to see going into spring training, that's for sure.
I don't know if you saw my my tweet a few days ago, but apparently the Chargers are the only team on the in the NFL that hasn't had a player arrested in the last 5 years.
Damn. Really? Wow,
Yep.
That's kind of incredible, actually. That's wild. My Vikings had the Party Boat Vikings. They had quite a few arrests that 1 year. That was back.
And then you have the Raiders who constantly have people arrested. So.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll take having the better people over having the better team, you know?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But I got the best
actually,
of both.
You know what? I mean, the Cowboys would disagree with that. They'll hire anyone, but...
Throwing cowboy shade over here.
Yeah, I'm up in the air. I still want to have a dominant team. I don't need everyone to be squeaky clean necessarily, but obviously, like, depending on the severity of the crimes...
Oh, trust me, we're going to have talks about Deshaun Watson and a few other things, too, so be prepared for that.
Oh, yeah. It sounds good. Yeah, I just talked about it on my podcast a bit yesterday, and I didn't feel like I really said everything I wanted to say on the thing, so I definitely have more that I can say about that, too. But, yeah, whatever you feel.
That's going to be a fun debating topic for us, for sure. Okay. Have them all done. I just got to send out the tweet now, and then we'll be good to go.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to... oh, good. You already put it in my Discord. Perfect. All right. And I'll retweet the tweet.
And I'm going to send that out right now. There you go. Then need to hop on the actual account that's streaming this, re-put this back into my phone holder so I can see chat easier, and I can pull the comments off the screen now.
Perfect.
Those are annoying. Okay. Pull this up on my normal streaming account, and then we'll be good to go. Yeah, I had a DK, and then between DK and Craigie, they kind of helped with the affiliate push on this account.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because like
heavy hitters.
I chatted with both of them before I booted up, and they were both like, yeah, we'll just raid the people into your channel, and then we'll go from there. That's
a dope idea, actually. Damn, I probably should have done that. My Nota gang hasn't been super strong lately, though, so I might not have been able to send you too many bodies, to be honest.
Alright, well, in case you guys here have not noticed, I have Murphy D sitting here with me digitally through a screen right now. If anybody gets in chat that isn't myself or Murph, go ahead and let us know if the sound's good. I think it should be picked up pretty well, but last time I thought that with DK it took some adjusting, but we'll see. But real quick, you having been here a few times or have probably watched them after they've gone up on YouTube, you know we are the London Black Knights now, formerly known as the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes, sir.
We currently have the weekly training to do. We should be seeing at least the Browns, the Rams, I think, are the third game we're going to see, more than likely. I'm pretty sure we're going to have at least 3 games being watched. We got the Browns, Rams, and then this week we'll be dealing with the Titans. So while I'm handling the pre-game stuff, why don't you go ahead and do a little summarization of you as a person or as a streamer, whichever route you want to take that in.
Yeah, for sure. Well, for those of you guys who don't know me, my name is MurphyDee55, Canadian Twitch streamer. That's kind of what I say whenever I get a raid on Twitch. Canadian Twitch streamer and Madden affiliate. So I've been streaming on Twitch now for like almost 2 years. Probably 95% Madden content, and just recently getting into the Sports Accelerator program, doing a lot more podcasts and sidecasts and things of that nature. So definitely think that Madden's kind of always going to be my home base as far as streaming, because I just enjoy it. It's the one game that I really play every single year, and for the majority of the year. But excited about pursuing some other opportunities as well, and really trying to push the YouTube channel and TikTok as well now. Twitch is still the primary focus and the platform I enjoy the most, but really trying to promote those things as well. Hey, Savage Coyote in the chat. What's good, Savage Coyote?
Yep, former guest in his own right there.
Yeah, let's go. Love it. Yeah, we got some bodies coming through now, but so as far as you know that I'm one of the trifecta of Canadians that we have on here. Started around the same time as Luch and Up and Adam, and both those guys achieving partner. Luch just this past week. It's been a pretty exciting week as far as like the Madden Twitch community goes. Definitely been excited to watch both those guys have a lot of success.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one. Luch being the most recent guy, and then I think, if I remember correctly, Geezy's trying to achieve it right now, so...
Yeah, Geezy's been super close. He's applied a couple times already. He's gotten, really, really close, like he's just on the cusp of it, so that's kind of like, the person I feel like is the closest right there in the Madden community, at least in my circle.
I feel like it has to go, you or him, then you, and then somebody else after you. I feel like you and him definitely deserve it.
There's guys like Nico C. Nico Cinco's really close. He's been close for a long time.
I wouldn't
there's a lot of guys.
I wouldn't be mad at getting Johnny Claps to it pretty quickly too.
Oh yeah, he just finished up an awesome 24-hour stream. I caught like the tail end of that. I was hanging out in there as he was watching some YouTube videos and just hanging out and finishing off the 24. So yeah, shout out to Johnny Claps, Mr. Clapton Cheeks for a 24-hour stream.
He's probably napping.
More than 12, so I don't know how that goes.
He's probably napping. He's probably still out like a light.
For a day for sure.
At minimum a day. I mean, we've seen a few wild people having 24 hours, and then we had a guy who I'm going to try to get on here at some point that had like a 41-day subathon or something. I mean, I don't know, but I don't know about that.
Are we talking Big Fend on the 41-day subathon?
Yep, that's who we're talking about, and I'm definitely going to have to chat with him to see if he can make some time for me, but
for sure.
But yeah, he's an idea.
Yeah, that was crazy subathon too. A couple crazy subathons in the books for Fendler.
In fact,
watching him play Elden Ring now too. Like I've actually, I don't get a chance to watch nearly as much Twitch as I used to, because now I'm always trying to schedule, like the same as what you're doing right now, try to schedule podcasts and send DMs out and be in touch and on top of a whole bunch of different things. But I have been able to watch a little bit of Fendler playing like Elden Ring lately, and I've enjoyed that a lot. So
I've been
channel and see that he's having some success in the variety streams.
Yeah, most definitely. Seeing guys kind of go from mutt extraordinaires to like multi, gamers for different things and all that stuff has been quite fun. And like the podcast / those type of streams, seeing those kind of take a lot more of a shape the last like 6 months or so has been fun to see as well.
Oh yeah.
We have
It's good to see the Fen Talks back too. I caught a little bit of the Noah one. I didn't see the the God one yet, and I still got to watch the Eric Weather one. But it's cool to see him out there doing those podcasts. I think you can never have two. Like that's the kind of content that I really enjoy. So that's something I'll definitely make time to watch. And I'm starting to get more into watching YouTube. Like I'll watch podcasts on YouTube, which is something I never used to do. I probably watched 5 YouTube videos my entire life that aren't music videos. So I'm starting to kind of.
Well, I'm not saying I'm not saying you should check out the podcast on YouTube, but you should check out the podcast on YouTube. Just saying.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, for sure, 100%.
I'm pretty sure.
I've been on many podcasts. Really, like I was on Fen Talks like way back in the day, and then I did a short one with Jake the Savage, and now this one with you. So it's only probably my third time being on the receiving end. That's not true. I think I did the council one from back in the day too. The one that Big Cat posted. I was on there a few times as well.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Okay, so you actually brought up a couple things I'm going to ask you about. Okay, so you came up with, obviously Around the Yellow Horn. That's your main podcast. That's your Couch Potato, your Fen Talks. That's your thing. But tell me about the Northerner. What made you come up with that one?
Yeah. So the Northern was kind of basically I felt like I was starting to get a lot of really big guests on Around the Yellow Horn, and when I was able to get W on there, who I kind of look at as, at least for me, I look at him as the biggest Madden streamer. Maybe not necessarily in terms of subs at any given time, but I think just in terms of influence, I think if W says something, the community listens. So once I got him on there, I was like, you know what, like there might be a cap on this Around the Yellow Horn thing. I might eventually run out of people, that I can kind of go as far as trying to go after bigger guests and whatnot. So then I was like, I need to kind of have another way to keep doing these podcasts because I love them, but also have it not get stale and not get like boring for people using the same format just one-on-one all the time. So I was, I had seen other people do, Discord calls and stuff, and I was like, man, I wish there was a way that I could, figure out how to put like a panel together and have it all looking good and cropped up nicely. And I kind of learned how to do the Discord cropping stuff. Tried it out before the first one. I tried it out like the night before, and I kind of did a little sample test run just off stream, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been very challenging though with the Northern, like scheduling 4 people. It's hard enough to schedule an interview with one person, but trying to get 4 people on there and do it once a week, it's not easy because everyone's got a busy life. But the name the Northern comes from a song from one of my favorite bands, Alexis on Fire, which is my Throwdown Thursday playlist. They're like kind of like a post-hardcore like Primo band, and they have a song called The Northern. I actually don't like the song. It's not one of their favorite, like my favorites of theirs at all, but I like the name of it.
You like the name.
Northern's kind of different.
You like the name enough to make it into a secondary podcast, so that tells you they know how to name songs, but the song itself wasn't exactly a hit for you personally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was like, definitely it's one of the only songs on that playlist I have on Thursdays that I'll actually skip over sometimes if I'm not feeling it, but I thought the name worked, and I wanted to make it kind of distinctly Canadian as well, like not because I wanted the panel to be Canadian, but I just wanted to have that little, most of the time it's 4 Americans sitting down there with me. I want to still have that little Canadian touch there, but also the Northern as well, kind of, not just Canada, but you think of the Minnesota Vikings, you think of the North as well. Maybe a little bit of Game of Thrones there too, with the Starks type of vibe to it. It kind of has a few things it makes me think of when I think of the Northern. I don't know why I went with the gold and black. I was kind of going for this Drake OVO type feel because again, that's really tied into the Toronto Raptors and Drake being their global ambassador and having the gold and black jerseys. So I wanted to kind of sprinkle that in too. So kind of a lot of different stuff going on with the Northern and how it actually came about.
Yeah, that explains a lot. Like I've never heard of that band either, so I'll have to check that out at some point.
I don't blame you. They're Canadian. They never made it big in the States. The only other country, even in Canada. In Canada, they went gold, I believe. But going gold in Canada, I think they went platinum in Canada with one album. But for us, it's like 1/10 of what that is in the States. So platinum in the States is like 1 million records sold. Platinum in Canada is 100,000 records sold.
So Eminem would be basically a god to you guys, like.
Oh yeah.
In every sense of the word.
Quadruple diamond.
They'd have to invent a completely new coloration system just for him because he's constantly getting them.
Absolutely, yeah, no, for sure. And on fire. My sister used to like them when she was in high school. She actually used to be a journalist for an indie music magazine in Toronto, so she interviewed a lot of bands. She was big into them when she was in high school. I always thought they were like cornies, and then as I got older, I started liking them more, and she started liking them less. So she doesn't listen to them at all now. I really enjoy it. But those guys too, they actually got really big in Australia. So they broke up a couple times, did a farewell tour in Australia. That's like the only other country in the world where people have heard of them. So I gotta ask Bex one of these days if she's heard of Alexis on Fire down there or not. She probably hasn't. They're not they're just happen to be my favorite group. And I've seen them live a couple times too.
Okay, so a couple things about, and this will lead into my next question, a couple things about my setup is I have a portable TV. I actually have my PS4 strapped to, and then my camera sits on top of what's basically the handle for it, for if I'm like on the move or whatever. And then like with the Discord call and with chat, it's actually on a phone stand, and I'll show you that real quick. See, a phone stand.
I'm losing, sorry Keiko, I'm not hearing, the audio's getting a little bit choppy for a second. I couldn't hear most of that last question. It was kind of chopping in and out.
It wasn't a question, so you didn't miss anything there. I was just explaining my setup.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. I see is that your phone there that you had up in front of you on that mount?
Yeah, it's like a little or a little mount thing, and what's cool is like the stand, it folds in to form an actual handle. So if I were wanting to vlog or something, I can actually vlog with that stand too.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then another thing I have is above me over here. I'm not going to try to move the camera because it'll be a pain in the ass to reset it up. But there's a cupboard right above me right here, and that has all my like mugs and stuff that I bought. Your mug's up there, Fenn's mug's up there.
Nice, man. That's awesome.
710's, Up and Adam's mugs are up there right now too. And then I actually have Luch's right here. So.
Oh, sweet, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I saw you had the Luch mug out the other day for the partner thing. I wonder, Keiko, can you try twisting your... I feel like the audio's cutting out a little bit. Maybe if you just like turn your... where your headphones are plugged in, you know what I mean? Sometimes it gets stuck on a...
Yeah, hold on. Is it better?
Crackly, it keeps cutting out.
Is it better here?
Let's see. I don't know why that is, because it was perfect for the whole part, and then something happened, and then it got a little bit choppy.
Is it better here?
I can hear you now, it sounds like, yeah.
Okay, I don't know what that is, because like these don't, like you mentioned, these don't normally have that much of a problem, so.
Yeah. Oh, now it's perfect. Now it's back to what it was before. I can hear you perfectly clear.
Okay, so with that being said, what is your setup looking like? Like, what drinks do you normally have next to you for streams, and do you ever have like any food nearby for like before you boot up or whatever? Like have something to eat real quick and then toss it off to the side.
My setup's kind of, I was actually, the funny thing is I was thinking of putting together a YouTube video, like kind of going over my setup and talking about some of the products that I have, just like to kind of show people like little upgrades that I've made. But yeah, my setup is a 2-monitor setup, so I just have these LG. I got the cheapest monitors I could find on Amazon. They're like 24 inches, which I think is still a decent size for playing and having a good like heads-up display. So
yeah,
I got 2 of those monitors. I got a little ring light on top of one of them. So the monitor that I look at for my gameplay, that's where my ring light is, because that's where I face the camera most of the time. And I've got two cameras. I got one of them is like this Osdom one that honestly the quality is pretty low on it. It's not great, but it's a bit of a wider angle. I use that one for like my Skull Vision and for my podcast for Around the Yellowhorn, and then my one that I use for my gameplay is the Logitech, whatever you call it, the one that everybody has, the C3PO, whatever the hell you call it.
C3 2019 or whatever.
Everyone has, and that one's better quality, so eventually I'd have to probably replace this Osdom one. Then I got my Blue Yeti, which is it's not the same one that CJ Sauce gave to me way back in the day. That one broke, so I bought another one because I like the sound quality. I think it's pretty decent for the price. Yeah, and then I got my PS4 here. I'm still on current gen, so I got my PS4 here beside me. I got my one controller. I got I've got 2 sets of like these AirPod type things. One of them is like a knockoff I got off Amazon for super cheap.
Oh, you mean like
the Apple one. Yeah.
like the knockoff earbuds that you're talking about, or AirPods or whatever? You're talking like something like this right here.
Let's see.
Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mine are just like, I don't even know what brand they are. I tried looking them up.
Speaking of AirPods too,
particular ones, but
these are.
the trick. I only need them when I do a stream.
These are actually my Skull Candy AirPods right here.
Oh yeah.
So those are fun to use.
Oh nice. Yeah.
I don't use those for streaming though, because I feel like it wouldn't give everyone the sound that I want them to have. So.
Yeah.
And real quick.
Those are nice. It's like I used to have to. I used to just have my speakers turned on, so like you could hear the music through the whole house. Now my wife can just hear my voice, which is still pretty loud. So.
Yeah, I was about to say, does that help a lot, or?
And then the music, and then me yelling over the music, so people can hear me.
Okay, so that does help her if she decides, like, oh, I want to go to bed or whatever. She just has to hear you, and it's like, oh, well, she's used to hearing you by now, so, you know.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Instead of constantly shifting musics every, like, 3 to 5 minutes.
I got a Stream Deck, too. I know you got a Stream Deck. I think the 6-button one. I got the 15-button Stream Deck here. So,
fucking half Hollywood Murphy over here. With his 15 buttons.
Yeah, no, I know. I gotta figure out how to use it better though, because I have like 5 scene transitions, and the rest of the other 10 are like all emotes. But yeah, I feel like I don't use it to its full potential. So
that's kind of why I got the 6-button one too.
They figured out some ways to glitch it out, so I might have to sit down, spend a weekend, and educate myself on how to make.
Yeah, that's why I kind of got the 6-button one.
They're like I probably got for $20 off Amazon. Some cheap Logitech speakers, and then it's just like the man cave up here, a little bit of soundproofing on top. I don't know if it does anything. Yeah, the LED lights to make it look cool, and then just a bunch of support stuff that I've collected over the years just to kind of give me the streaming vibe that I'm looking for. But yeah, I'm really happy with the stream setup.
Well, like with my head, I actually wasn't even talking about my headset, which was a miss by me. But I have the SteelSeries black headphones. I actually got these 5-6 months ago, and I hate it. The one thing I hate is if you look, there's the padded thing on that one, but it's not on that one, so that's kind of annoying.
Oh yeah, I hear it.
Like I know where it is, but I don't know how to put them back on. Like
that my wife found on the side of the road, because my gaming chair was like completely busted. Like it lasted me not even 5 months. I'm really hard on chairs. So I was gonna get rid of it. I was sitting in like these wood chairs that were super uncomfortable for longer streams, and then she luckily found this one that somebody was throwing out. I was like, I'll take that. It's comfortable. It's still working. So you can't be picky sometimes. You gotta work with what you got.
Hey, I mean,
not everyone's got an unlimited budget.
Like I said, that's why I like the portable TV that I have. I actually got this from a friend because he upgraded to one that was smaller. And so he gave me his, and then like this phone stand thing that I use to hold like chat up and for like Discord and stuff was only $5. Work with what you got.
I'm losing a bit of audio again. Let me see if I can. I wonder if it's on my end now, because it was getting choppy a little bit there for a second.
Okay, wait. You're not hearing me through the Discord call?
Through the which at all?
Yeah, through the Discord call.
No, I am. Like, I have your stream volume turned off. Like.
Okay, so that's what's going on, because like it's not. I don't have like you plugged into a mic or anything like that, so.
No, I know. I should be hearing you come through in the Discord, though. Let me see. I'm just going to see if there's anything. Yeah, it says connection on my end is good, so I don't know. For some reason, it's just like...
It might just be the fans in the area or something that are...
Pardon me?
It might just be that it's picking up the fans occasionally on the Discord call.
Oh, it could be. It could be that. Yeah, you're right. Okay, either way.
Well, I'm going to move you a little bit closer here on the phone stand, so maybe that'll help alleviate that a little bit.
It's all good.
Alright, so you're set up with what is a lot of... It's a pretty, like, I don't know how to, like, medium type of build. Like, you have some pretty expensive things, and you got some pretty basic stuff, which is great. It's great to be able to work with that type of stuff, because then when you get the really good stuff, you already know how to use the bad stuff, and you can get the better stuff, and, you know...
For sure.
You don't want to buy the $200 pair of, headphones and then not be able to know what you're doing with them half the time, so...
Exactly, 100%. Like, yeah, that's one thing. You don't want to invest too much money, like, into a setup, especially, like, considering where your channel is at. Like, you might not want to have a $10,000 stream setup if you're still trying to get affiliate. You might want to... You kind of got to work with what you got and what's...
Absolutely.
Where you're at. So, for me right now, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to go out and buy much more expensive stuff until I get to a level where, the amount of viewers kind of demands me to have a better quality thing. But
exactly.
I did go out and buy a PC last summer, and it's the exact exact same PC that Up and Adam and Luch have, so they were able to help me out with that. So, it's really, this one's pretty much capable of running anything I want to run for the stream. I probably still haven't used it to its maximum potential, so there's still room that I can improve my stream on this one, if I wanted to add, even more overlays and whatnot. But, yeah, the best thing is that it doesn't just boot down my stream randomly. Like, I have no disconnects anymore. My internet's good. That's the biggest thing. Good internet is the most key thing to streaming, in my opinion.
That to me is
so much harder.
The internet thing kind of makes me laugh a little bit because, like, I think Basehead Rob mentioned something about his being kind of sucky for some reason, like it wasn't working for him a few days ago.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people spend the money on Spectrum and all that, and they're supposed to get like really good speeds and all that, and then all of a sudden they just drop and don't have those anymore. I told this story when I was talking to Basehead Rob, but I'm running off a hotspot specifically through Cricket, which is supposed to be very bad, but yet I don't have any frame drops or anything.
That's actually kind of wild. You found a way to glitch out the system, but that's good for you. Like finding a way to work within, because some areas just don't even get fiber optic cables at this point. Like it's.
Well, I live in a.
Should have high speed, but for now we gotta fight with whatever we have.
I live in a RV park where only certain companies are allowed to put their stuff in here, so that also doesn't help. But as you guys can tell by the halftime score, our team is up 3-14. Haven't been paying much attention to who's doing what, but it looks like Kansas City and New England just wrapped up, and Kansas City beat them by 10 at the bottom there.
Well, it's kind of sweet. So you're just doing the simulation here. I like that actually. That's kind of cool. There was a time on Madden. I don't know if you remember this, like maybe Madden 20, where all the biggest channels in the Madden directory were all those simulation football ones because everyone was doing their gambling off of them because sports was canceled with COVID, like just at the very beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
And it was all these random streams just having people gambling and doing side bets on.
Shout out on the Vikings, by the way. They just beat the Packers 31-28.
Hey, I like that. A close game. Hopefully the same results this year in the regular season.
Well, Aaron Rodgers has what? Alan Lazard and like trash cans to throw to?
Yeah, Randall Cobb, like it's bad. It's really bad. Like I'm honestly surprised that I'm surprised that Aaron Rodgers. Like I don't know how that conversation went. Aaron Rodgers wanted out because he didn't like the weapons around him. They signed him to a 4-year deal, and then they trade away probably his two top receivers.
To be fair, he's held the organization at basically gunpoint for 2 years.
Yeah.
And so maybe they're like, okay.
No sense. Like he could have gotten money elsewhere. He would have gotten paid elsewhere. Maybe not quite as much as Green Bay was willing to, but.
Hey, I'm just happy he didn't come to my division. Okay. I'm just happy he didn't go to Denver.
Situation like they have a crap team now around him. He's got to carry way more of the load than he did last year, even.
Maybe he can put in a call to Jordy Nelson and get him to come back.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, he was never the same after that knee injury. Jordy Nelson was like, he was so exciting, like him and Randall Cobb in there.
Like you as a Vikings fan is even saying that, and you're like, I hated seeing them do good, but man, were they good.
Yeah, absolutely. Then Jordy Nelson, once he went to the Raiders, was nothing. He was, basically once that knee injury came, he never had a good season again. So that was kind of sad to see, but
yeah.
It happens. That's the NFL.
So, with you being a Vikings fan right now, what do you think they have to do this year to kind of more solidify themselves in the division? Because, like, Green Bay is going to be weak this season. The Bears are still trying to figure out what they're doing. The best build around, Justin Fields. And you're dealing with the Lions, who are basically just trying to still build a culture and stuff like that. The Vikings are in the best position right now than they have been since the season Brett Favre was playing for you guys to actually make the NFC Championship game again. What do you think they need to do to kind of capitalize on this weekend division?
Yeah, you know what? Like, it's funny because I would say there was a year, I can't remember what year it was, maybe like 2013. It was the year when Nick Foles ended up winning the Super Bowl.
That was 2015, I believe. Or 2017.
So that was not that long ago. I remember. Damn, actually, that's 7 years ago. Holy cow, time flies.
Wait, hold on. I think I got that wrong. 1 second.
Yeah, you might be right, but
I think it was 2017.
Remember the first year that US Bank Stadium was out. That was the year that
I think it was actually 2016 or 2017. But yeah, it was at least 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was probably at least a good 4 or 5 years ago at this point. But
Yeah.
whenever it was, I went out to watch a game that year in US Bank Stadium, and the Vikes were hosting the Super Bowl because of the brand new stadium. They wanted to show it off. And we had 13 wins in the regular season that year. Like, the defense was one of the top 5 defenses in the league. Case Keenum was having a ridiculous year.
Yeah.
I thought he was a starter going forward, but he was just having a really good year for some reason. And the defense was so good, but then we got flooded by the Eagles. So I'd say that year there was a lot of optimism. People thought the Vikes might be able to play Super Bowl at home, just the way their season. And then the Minneapolis Miracle happened in the round 1, so I mean that was a good look for us too. But yeah, this year definitely feels like, not because our team is much better. I don't think we did too much to improve our team. We picked up Zadarius Smith.
Yeah, it's what all the
signing.
other teams in the division did is what helps you guys.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not like we went out and we're like, oh, we're going all in this year.
Didn't you guys just literally like you guys signed Smith and then you like extended Cousins? I think that's about all I know of that you guys did.
That's basically it. Like, so Kirk Cousins, the money is ridiculous. Like, he's not a $40 million quarterback, but he is actually, I'd say he's a top 15 quarterback in the league. And I'd say, with the weak quarterback draft class, like, there's no
Yeah.
need to replace him going forward.
And I mean, come on, Kellen Mond.
It's a big deal for 1 year. I'd rather have him on a 1 year expensive deal than have him on a 5-year deal,
Yeah, that's fair.
The rest of his career.
So I actually pitched this out to my buddy before he signed with a different team. I mentioned the fact that maybe Marcus Mariota could have helped you guys get a little bit better. And
It's possible. Yeah.
I think that if you say you win and got him, well, you wouldn't have had to trade for him, and you could have had him compete with Kirk Cousins, and at worst you have a good backup in case Kirk goes down, and you don't have to worry about putting your fate in the hands of Kellen Mond.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Kellen Mond is an unproven guy. Part of it might be that I personally think that the Vikings drafted Kellen Mond as a career backup. I don't think when they drafted him that they drafted him to be a future starting quarterback. I think if this organization, when they do move on from Kirk Cousins, our future quarterback is not on the roster yet, I think we'll draft somebody else.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, though. I don't think they're super high on Kellen Mond. At least I know Mike Zimmer wasn't.
Quarterbacks are like super tricky though.
Yeah, they are.
Because
really lucky and have the right draft pick available.
you have like Case Keenum, who had that obviously the year you talked about, where it could have looked like he could have been potentially a starter somewhere else, just based on how he played.
Yeah.
And then he falls off, or you could have someone like a Josh Allen, who started out not so good, not looking like the answer, and now has turned into one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Oh yeah, Josh Allen's incredible. I think he's the real deal for
And
sure.
then that
there's a lot of good young quarterbacks.
the replacing the quarterback thing is probably the hardest thing for a franchise to do after they get rid of an all-time great. The Packers and the Chargers, I think, have had the best luck at this the last 20, 30 years, because the Packers went from Bart Starr and Brett Favre, and now they're with Aaron Rodgers, and you have the Chargers who went from Drew Brees to Phillip Rivers and now to Justin Herbert, and not all teams can do that.
Yeah. No, you're right, 100%. Yeah, the Chargers have been pretty fortunate with their quarterback play, to be honest, for the last little while, and they're looking good this year. But yeah, we'll see what the Vikes can do this year. I think winning the division is definitely possible. I think beating some of those teams that are in the NFC West, I think the NFC West can be really good, like the Cardinals, the Niners.
I think you mean the NFC. You said AFC.
A lot of good teams coming out of that division.
I think you meant NFC, not AFC.
Which one? Oh,
did
I say?
Yeah, you said the AFC West, and I'm like, nah, AFC West floods you guys, except for maybe the Raiders or something. But no, you guys get flooded by the AFC West.
AFC West is probably one of the best divisions in football right now. They're super.
It's wild because every single team in that division could legitimately make a playoff run, but only maybe 2 or 3 of them will. One of them will get left out, but I guarantee that I think Raiders, as much as I hate to say it, Raiders and Chargers have the best chance of winning that division, because Kansas City has lost a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
And the Broncos, even though they got Russ and they have everything else in place, they just, since Peyton Manning, they just have not had the best of luck when it comes to winning games they should.
Yeah, 100%. I think, the Raiders, they definitely have added a bunch of weapons, and I do think they probably have the worst quarterback in the division. I still think, I'd rank it still. I mean, who knows about, it's really tough. Like,
I think Derek Carr.
Mahomes is still probably I still think he's the best quarterback in the league, and then Russell Wilson looks like he's starting to show signs of decline, so he might have gone down to number 3 on that list. Herbert second, and Derek Carr is kind of, he's got weapons now. There's really nothing to he's got to show that he can be
I feel like
game manager, but he hasn't really shown the same flashes he did when he was like a rookie and second-year player before he had that injury. So
I feel like with
that's a tough division. That's probably the toughest division in football.
I feel like with 1 and 2, like, you can make an agreement for Herbert or Mahomes to be in that one spot, and the other one's like a really close second, just because, like, we know what with Mahomes is capable of. We've seen him since basically the first year he started. We know what he can do. And then we've seen Herbert the first 2 years. That has been really, really good and has given us quite a few highlight reel type plays. And I feel like if this will be a very big prove it season for the Chiefs too. Was that element of Hill, like, was that helping the offense a ton because they'd have to worry about his speed? Well, they don't have that.
I do think it was. I think people who say that Tyreek is just a product of having Mahomes, I think that's not true. I think
that's a wild thing to say.
Both made each other better,
Yeah, I think saying that he's a product of Mahomes is wild to say. I don't think that's anywhere near like an okay or even accurate description of that. But I do think that him having that speed was a massive like piece of that offense.
Yeah.
And now you don't have that.
Bailing them out, like on plays, like by keeping the play alive and those bombs, like.
See, so I feel like Mahomes now has to prove that he can throw to receivers that aren't the fastest in the NFL, because they lost all their speed guys. Like, their fastest guy now is probably Juju, and he's not as fast as any of the guys they had before. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe Mecole Hardman's pretty fast, but he's kind of like a smaller-bodied slot receiver. I think Juju's going to be a good addition on that team. I think it might put a lot more pressure on him now. Like, it's a good thing they didn't sign Juju because he still does have that star pedigree, but he's had definitely a couple of off years now. He looked really good as a rookie, and then
well, this past season you can't give him too much shit because he missed like half the year.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
But the thing is, they still have Kelsey, so you still have to worry about him. And they're building a running back room. I don't know if you heard, but they got the backup from Tampa came over.
Oh yeah. So not
Rashard Jones, I think, is his name.
Rashard Jones, the third or whatever.
Yeah,
that's right.
They got him and Clyde Edwards, and Clyde Edwards has proven to be quite a good dual threat guy, and Rashard Jones is kind of more of a power back, so.
Yeah, get a bit of the thunder and lightning there in the backfield. Yeah, I like it. And, I will say one thing. I do think that the Broncos have a really good secondary, so I think that bodes well for them. But I do think that the Chargers probably have the best defense in that division now. The Chiefs' defense is kind of in shambles. They just weren't able to. They did bring back their defense initially, but they're just not going to be able to re-sign guys long term. Chargers have gone out, and now with Khalil Mack opposite Joey Bosa, probably the best edge rusher combo in the league.
Then we have a bona fide number 1 with J.C. Jackson at corner.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we have Michael Davis on the other side who locked down Tyreek, or it was either Tyreek or Kelsey in the second game we played the Chiefs in, and he locked them down when everyone else was injured. And then we got Asante Samuel Jr. as our slot guy, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely feel like defensively we arguably have the best. There is an argument you can make for like the Broncos, but other than that, like the Chiefs have like Tyrann Mathieu still on their roster. He hasn't went anywhere yet. But if he ends up leaving, who do they have? They have Chris Jones and like maybe one other guy.
Yeah, it's like I do like the sign. I think they signed Justin Reed, the safety from the Texans, who I think is a good player. So I think he's he can kind of replace Tyrann Mathieu.
And he's younger.
But Tyrann Mathieu's still like a pretty elite player. But yeah, I don't know who else you would say is on the Chiefs, to be honest. Which other good defenders they have.
And then you have Oakland, Las Vegas, my bad, that has what's his name, Max Crosby, and I'll be honest, I don't know like anybody else on that team other than like Casey Hayward. I think was on there last year. I don't know if he still is or not. But, like, I can't name many members on that team, aside from the guy that got arrested for waving that gun around on Instagram or something.
Oh, jeez, I didn't even know about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that happened, like, 2 weeks after the Henry Ruggs situation.
Oh, okay, well, there you go. So just, he probably got off easy, to be honest, because all the attention was aimed at him.
Yeah, I don't know if he got arrested or anything like that. He might have gotten, like, a misdemeanor or something. But, yeah, he was just cut from the team, and so he still has a chance to play elsewhere. But Henry Ruggs, I don't think, has a, like, slim chance of even making, like, a chance of making another roster again.
Yeah. He's I don't know what's going to go on with him. I don't think we'll see him back in the NFL at any point.
Yeah, if people are still... And I told you we were going to talk about this guy on the podcast too. Deshaun Watson, his thing with his not being condemned for anything or anything like that. He's going to get shit on a lot now. Still moving forward, even though he was he didn't get charged with anything. Now imagine Henry Ruggs, who there's obviously proof that he did what happened. He's not getting a job anytime soon. And look at how long it took someone like Michael Vick to get back into the NFL again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like he had to serve the time. Like he did the crime, he had to serve the time. And Mike Vick. We talked about this actually on my podcast last night. Big Kev came on and mentioned, as a Philly fan, Philly's the guys who re-signed Vick after he was out of prison. That he had to work really hard. He had to donate a lot of money to educating people about dogfighting and things like that. And eventually, through really, applying himself and making himself available and kind of helping educate the youth, he was able to kind of win people's public opinion over. But he still was never like the big. I think I remember seeing Mike Vick in commercials in a Philly Eagles uniform. He still got back a little bit of his brand and his marketability, even though anybody would say dogfighting's terrible. And but with Deshaun Watson, I think it's going to be tougher for him. I think with him, I don't see him. The panel that I had on last night, we kind of came to the conclusion that really I don't see. I think he's going to be a guy who he might put up some good stats in the NFL. He might be a really good Pro Bowl quality quarterback, but I don't think Nike or Sprite or whoever's going to be rushing out there to put him in commercials. I think it's just something that a lot of people have too strong of an opinion about. So I think they'll still sell jerseys for sure.
Yeah.
But I think as far as his mass appeal, is definitely taking a big hit.
And I feel like I've talked about this on other podcasts before. I just never had a good feeling about the allegations to begin with. The time they came out was very suspect. Who was their lawyer was very suspect because of who he knew, obviously. And the fact that Deshaun didn't take a plea deal was kind of the final nail for me, because if you were guilty, the plea deal would have been your best bet. Because, even if you're, obviously he's currently, as far as anyone knows, innocent of everything.
Yeah.
And look at how people are with him now. Imagine if he had actually done something wrong and he did take the plea deal. Imagine what it would be like then.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. I can think of on the Vikings, for example, there was Darren Sharper who was, he was found guilty of having, during his time, I don't know if it was with his time with the Vikings or with the Saints or who it was, but he was found guilty of drugging and sexually assaulting multiple women, and I think he's still in prison to this day, so he's actually one of the rare cases of somebody actually going and doing prison time for something like this, but I don't know how much of the proof was easily available there, whereas in this circumstance, maybe it wasn't.
My thought process on that is it took you a full year and you couldn't get enough evidence from 22 different occasions to get a guilty plea.
Yeah.
You're telling me in a year?
It was kind of dismissed. It didn't even go to court. Is that correct? It was dismissed.
Yeah, it was dismissed basically from a grand jury, just real quick. Not enough evidence here, and then it was over.
Yeah. It's tough too, and it's fairly recent. All these cases too. Since he was in the NFL, I just I will say I know with statistics, especially regarding sexual assault and rape and things like that, that a lot of the time, of all the complaints that are brought forward, I know that the percentage of them that are actually charged is incredibly low. and the burden of like proving someone guilty is so high that like a lot of people don't even want to come forward with it. So I always side naturally with the victims, and I don't think there's like, and I said this again yesterday too, I don't think there's like some conspiracy where there are like 22 women who got together and tried to come up with some Ponzi scheme with a crooked lawyer to steal money, because that's could put them in a lot of trouble too. Like they're putting themselves at risk of perjury in that case. So I still think that in the eyes of the law there probably wasn't enough proof. Which like what would proof be in this case? You need to have physical evidence, which they probably didn't have, and you probably or have a video proof of it. But happen in massage parlors, and obviously there's no video cameras in a massage parlor where people are taking their clothes off. So I think it's almost like unless there's video proof of it, it's so hard to get anybody convicted. That's why Ray Rice was probably the only reason Ray Rice is out of the league. If somebody had said that Ray Rice knocked out his girlfriend, he'd probably still be in the league today. He'd probably get suspended. But since we saw that video, he got hit with the death penalty in the league, basically.
And here's what I think is like, I'm gonna advocate for the opposite of what you're saying.
Yeah.
22 cases come out right after he said he doesn't want to play for the Texans anymore. The lawyer happens to know the owner of the Texans, and it just so happens that all these hit right at the same time to basically stall any chance he had at leaving the team.
Yeah.
There's that,
yeah.
Right? And then let's move on to the second part of this. Why would they all go after him now when obviously he would have to pay for like the cases and all that?
Yeah.
Why not wait until he actually got a payday elsewhere and then go after him? Because he was still on a rookie deal when this happened, so like nobody would have really gotten money out of it.
That's the thing. I think like that kind of reasoning makes me think that it is probably more legit. Because if it was just a thing where they wanted to go out and make as much money as they could, they probably would have waited till his next big payout, which is going to be probably his biggest contract.
I.e. the one he just signed right now.
I don't know. I think who knows?
I will say this: it's hard to it's hard to determine. As outsiders, it's hard to determine which route it would actually go to. We only have speculation.
Yeah.
But the problem with me is I never like to just take one side or another in a situation until there's at least some proof that helps me go one way or another. And unfortunately, I just see TikTokers and everything immediately took other people, the 22 people side opposed to Deshaun, even when there was like zero, like anything that would lead you to believe it, And that's like if somebody said, "Oh, Murphy D like kicked my ass at the bar and put me through a pool table or something, and now I need surgery," right?
Yeah.
And then you said, "No, I didn't." Well, obviously, I'd be slightly more inclined to believe you because I know you over somebody else.
Yeah.
But if they then show me a video of you literally putting them through a table, well, then I don't have a way of defending you after that. But that's how I view that type of situation. Like, we're all outsiders. We all have our own speculation about it.
Yeah.
I, for one, always thought that it was fishy, but other people maybe thought that was exactly the way it would go. But, that's always going to be a toss-up.
Like, for me, I think, the idea, like, that it's kind of was put out there by ownership of the Texans, I think, the only thing I think about that is I don't think it did so much damage to the Texans organization. Like, I think if it was an organizational plan to kind of put these legal...
Okay, I will say...
Like, first of all, the goal of keeping him in Texas didn't work because he's gone. And second of all, like, it really is a black mark on the organization, like, because really it happened under their watch. And I know, obviously, NFL players, they're all grown men. You can't keep eyes on them 24/7. I don't even think that the league should keep eyes on players 24/7. Like, you got to give them some degree of freedom, but, like, it definitely makes Houston look bad, because it's like, imagine if, you've got all these, physical therapists and massage therapists that are probably already on the team staff. It's like what's going on with this guy if he has to go elsewhere to get them? Like, what's wrong? You have a world-class training staff. How did you not investigate this internally earlier if this was a thing? The fact that there are these allegations, the fact that they
though,
on top of it,
I will say this.
Surprised me. I'm sure there would have been whisperings or rumors going along, with somebody on the staff.
I will say this, one way or another, when it comes to that situation, I do feel like as soon as there wasn't enough evidence to convict him, that's one of those things where you can have your speculations, but at the same time, you should also respect the decision that was made and leave the guy alone, for fuck's sake, you know?
Yeah. Well,
I never liked people hounding on, like, Big Ben for when this type of thing happened with him. I didn't like people hounding on him until basically his foot was out the door of the NFL, you know?
Yeah.
And that, I don't know, that always will annoy me no matter who it is.
Yeah. Well, and you know what, K-Coach, one thing that was brought up too, and it was brought up by, I think, Agent of Funk in my chat, who was hanging out last night when we were talking about the Deshaun Watson situation. And, one thing I do agree with, you see guys like you said, Ben Roethlisberger, who had allegations that were proven against him, was still able to be kind of a big figure in the NFL for a long time. And, people were saying, look at how easy Ben Roethlisberger got off with people just forgetting about it and not really bringing it up or talking about it, and he's still in advertisements, he's still marketable. And then look at, an African-American player like Deshaun Watson, he's going to get treated a lot more poorly by the media, and I do think that is definitely...
Yeah, most definitely.
It's a weird situation because, I generally believe that, the court system is, disproportionately, putting people of color in, these bad situations, so I do feel like that's a big injustice. But at the same time, it's I do feel like this whole thing is fishy, and I want to side with the victims and believe them first and foremost. But I don't know, man. I just feel like the whole court system is just such a shit show.
It is.
Like what you said about, whatever the legal, if the courts find you.
And the other thing,
looking at it.
The other thing, real quick, before you move on to your next thing.
Doesn't declare somebody, he's innocent, they say not guilty. And there's a big difference, I think, between not guilty and innocent.
But the thing is, some people thinking that the judge just decided it wasn't worth the time, or just deciding he wasn't, he's not guilty just because. I feel like that can be the same thing you said about the judge can be said here, why would he put his career on the line if there was anything that could be, argued for it being, a guilty plea?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But I guess we'll see moving forward if his reputation ever gets repaired or whatever. Because Michael Vick took some time, but he was a different situation. Like you said, Big Ben, kind of just got away with it more or less.
Yeah.
But we'll see how this Deshaun Watson situation unfolds.
Sorry, you cut out there at the last second, Kate. Could you repeat that? I missed the last part.
I said it'll be fun to see what happens with Deshaun Watson moving forward, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he still has a chance to be a really good player, and the one thing, he can't control public opinion at this point. He can't control what he did or didn't do. But all he can control is his play on the field. It's kind of a weird thing, and I think it will follow him his whole career. But you never, of all places, the NFL is one of the places that does seem to forget people, whether they deserve it or not. I think.
Come on, Kareem Hunt's still on a football team.
Year, I bet you nobody's going to be talking about it anymore, which is kind of sad, but, he
let his game do the talking now. Kareem Hunt is still in the league, and we know what he did,
Yeah, Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, even one of the guys we're talking about, too. There's a lot of guys with CD past. Adrian Peterson missed an entire season dealing with child abuse allegations, so it's...
Yeah.
If you were to go through any roster and pull up, you could find dirt on... I'm sure you can find dirt on somebody on any team, one thing, too, that I will throw into it, I'm not saying in this case, but in the NFL, too, with all this research they're doing with CTE, the effects that it has on the brain, these guys have been playing football for a decade, when you go back to Pop Warner, they've been playing for a decade by the time they even get in the league, and a lot of these players, the effects on the brain chemistry are kind of crazy by taking these blows to the head.
Well, come on, AB is a big example of that.
Yeah. Look at Dalvin Cook had a domestic incident come up this year where he was actually the victim of getting beat up by one of his girlfriends. There was Everson Griffin on the Vikings too has had really erratic behavior, and he's kind of had to take time off for his mental health, jumping out of an ambulance, doing all kinds of stuff. And I think CTE is one of the things that a lot of these criminal records that kind of pop up, and you got to wonder how much of it is from them taking such a beating.
Well, that's Antonio Brown is the biggest example of that. Feels like it's a CTE thing more than anything else.
Yeah, I honestly I see a lot of people around saying, "Oh, what a diva," how ridiculous.
Okay, real quick.
I look at a guy he went to a fairly small Division I college, Central Michigan. He was like not a highly scouted player. He worked so hard to get where he is, and then it looks like he just lost his mind is not the proper way to say it, but it looks like he just turned into a different person overnight. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
There were never any issues about his.
See, I will say this.
For the first decade in the league,
To me, Antonio Brown was a diva. First and foremost, I do believe that he was one.
Yeah.
But I can definitely tell you that when he was a diva before his collision with Vontaze Burfict in that playoff game, wasn't nearly as bad as how it was afterwards.
Yeah.
Because he was more like, he was a celebration, like rubbing in people's face type of diva, more so than anything else. And then after the hit...
He let his game do the talking. Like, he was probably the only receiver I thought could maybe pass Jerry Rice's records, to be honest. He seemed like he was on pace for that. He was doing... People forget how good he was.
He was really good, and he was even good a few years following, the hit, too. And then, obviously all this stuff started coming out, and then he wanted to leave Pittsburgh, and then, a bunch of other stuff happened.
Yeah,
but,
the worst part about it, too, is, like, the reason I think that it is CTE related with him is because none of the decisions he's making benefit himself. He's left so much money on the table. He's left potential championships on the table. He's missed out on so many things, and it's all to his detriment. So
and the fact that, as much as nobody likes Tom Brady, obviously. Nobody likes him.
Yeah.
But we don't like him because of what he does on the field. Off the field, he's a pretty good guy. But, I mean, come on, when AB, literally shits on him after leaving, when Brady's the only reason he was given another chance, that's another thing that's like, oh, yeah, he definitely has something going on.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. And I think it's to the point where even his teammates at this point don't take it personally when he goes and has a big meltdown, because I think it's like almost anybody who's looking at it can see that he's not himself right now. So, they don't take it personally. They're just like, man, this guy's really going.
Well, that's why I think what Mike Evans...
Anybody on those organizations he left will have a negative opinion of him. I think they just... Other than maybe the coaching staff. But the coaching staff hate him.
But Mike Evans, how he was talking about that situation when they were playing the Jets, you can tell that when he was talking about it, he was trying to calm him down, dude, the game's almost over, we can, talk about this later, put your gear back on or whatever, and AB just wasn't listening to it. He wanted to do his thing, and so he did his thing. I honestly think, though, that was kind of the last door slam on his career, though, unfortunately.
Oh, for sure. I saw him tweet something out, like a Ravens logo or something a couple days after that, too, picking his next spot. But, yeah, eventually people will stop giving him a chance, and honestly, it's probably for the best at this point, because I think...
If it is CT, it's just going to get worse if he keeps playing.
I do think it's dangerous for him at this point.
Yeah, if he has CTE like we think he does, ending it now is a lot better than trying to play a couple more seasons and then getting worse,
Yeah, because it's like he can't even enjoy it. He clearly used to love the game of football, all the work he put into it and how great he was at it.
I compare...
He can't get any enjoyment out of football now, and he's already got money, and hopefully he's managing it well, but...
I compare AB to Andrew Luck in a lot of ways. They both really, really loved the sport when they got in. Obviously, AB's was more CTE related, and then Andrew Luck's was just injuries in general. It just stripped away at him until he just didn't enjoy the game of football anymore. And both are very sad to see for different reasons. For AB, it was something, a dirty player basically messed up his career from the point he hit him during that playoff game. And then for AB, it was just the team not managing to give him protection until basically it was too late.
Yeah, that was kind of a crazy scenario with him. Andrew Luck was, and he's a smart guy. I think Andrew Luck went to Stanford, really good school. I think he graduated in 3 years or something. He was kind of a brilliant guy off the field from what I've heard. I'm pretty certain that Andrew Luck was very aware of the CTE research that was going on and thought, right now, I'm physically pretty broken, from, injuries that you can recover from, but I don't want to have CTE and be broken and lose all my faculties.
He's made enough money to... He's made enough money. He doesn't need that anymore. He has nothing to prove. He has a wife and kids, and he wants to be there to take care of them and not have a CTE issue.
And he got a full education, too. He's got a degree. If he wants to go and do something else now,
Exactly.
So, yeah, definitely he's in a good spot.
And that's kind of one of the biggest probably retirements since Calvin Johnson was Andrew Luck's retirement.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, Calvin Johnson was another crazy one. I don't know if CTE wasn't a big talk back then, but
for him, I think it was more because
Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
for him, I think it was more because he just.
He was incredible, but it's a shame to miss out on him. He probably could have been good for another 6-7 years.
You're like, I missed him torching my fucking shit DBs for 5 more years or something.
Oh God, yeah. As a Vikings fan, yeah, we're lucky that he retired because he was a problem. He was so good. He was one of the most physically gifted receivers that I've ever seen.
He's what everyone says D-Hop and Devontae Adams is. The guy you have to put 3 people on, and he'll probably still beat you anyways.
Oh yeah, he's even more like Devontae Adams, a great route runner. Hopkins is a great possession catcher, and route runner as well. I think as far as him, he combined the great route running of those guys with the physicality of Randy Moss. He could just go up and get it. He could just go up in tight coverage.
And that was back when.
Run and pull it down and take a hit while he was doing it.
That was also back when speed wasn't everyone's main focus, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why I don't think.
Speed card in the game. I'm going to use him on my team. He's so good, man. It's insane.
Definitely. I actually mentioned this. I nuke my my Mutt team because I'm not having much fun playing with this team anymore, and it's all power up players now. And I think I have maybe 2 starting guys that aren't in a power up position.
Yeah.
The starting strong safety for the team right now is just the base elite for Derwin James.
Yeah.
And then I have the punter, kicker obviously aren't power-ups because they don't get those.
Yeah.
And then my quarterback, I was gonna just have it at a base power-up card and then just do some weird challenges or something like that. And based on stats is how they upgrade. And I'm nah, I'm never gonna get a good quarterback that way. So I just I got the power-up of Tim Tebow and put him just before his 90 whatever card he has. And that's gonna be my quarterback.
Tim Tebow had what was that card that came out? It was
the Zero Chill. No, I'm talking about the Zero Chill or whatever it was, the winter one.
Yeah, he had a good card for a little while. I never tried that one out this year. I did try his golden ticket the other year though.
That's one of the things too. Tim Tebow, I feel could have if the Broncos actually gave him a legitimate chance, I think could have been a starter for at least another 5 to 6 years. You know.
Well, yeah, it's not like the Broncos. I mean, yeah, they did get Peyton Manning and they won a Super Bowl, and they were good for a couple of years with that really elite defense. After Tim Tebow left, but yeah, for me, Tim Tebow was he fantastic college quarterback. It was kind of cool. He was the only guy that they were doing where you had to build an entirely different offense around him. They had to build this wildcat scheme or this crazy RPO scheme around him. He did have that one deep pass to Demaryius Thomas in the playoffs where he did win a playoff game, so I remember that. Kind of a broken coverage, Demaryius Thomas had nobody within 50 yards of when he threw it, but
yeah.
And he was definitely a gamer. I just think I don't know. I don't know about Tim Tebow. I think he came into the league at a time when the league was getting way more pass happy. I think he came in right as it was transitioning to this whole thing where every quarterback gets 4,000 yards now, not just the elite.
See,
so,
I'll say this.
He kind of came in at a weird time for his skill set.
With Tim Tebow, he was the Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson. He had that running ability that not many quarterbacks actually possessed. And I feel he was just a little bit before his time. I think if he would have came out around when Lamar came out or whatever, he might have had a better chance at sticking around.
Yeah, I will say I'm trying to think of a comparable player because Vic was obviously.
You see, that's what I was trying to figure out. I'm who can I compare him to?
He had a lot more speed. Tim Tebow was kind of like a bruiser almost. He wasn't incredibly fast he was in college. Then compared to NFL elite athletes, he was kind of more.
Tebow, in terms of modern day NFL, would be the Justin Herbert. He had the build, and he can bruise people, and he had speed, but unlike Tim Tebow, though, Herbert doesn't always use it.
Yeah, and rightfully so. A lot of franchises look at Andrew Luck. Prime example, Andrew Luck could scramble a little bit too. He was very athletic, ran a decent 40 time for a quarterback. But when you put your shorten his
Well,
career.
I mean, look at Dak.
Great rookie year.
I mean, look at Dak from like 2 years ago. He scrambled that one play and broke his ankle in half, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. It's like now it's like you want to have this elite speed, but really only for like emergency situations or late in the game when you have to keep a play alive. It's like, where Lamar Jackson's really probably the only quarterback in the league right now who you can count on to try to run the ball for a bunch of yards because he's special. Like he's actually Vic was I think revolutionary as far as like, quarterback. He was really good and really fast, but I think Lamar Jackson might be the best running quarterback. Just from what I see, like his agility is insane. The way he moves around and stops on a dime, it's crazy. I would not want to try and tackle Lamar in the open field.
Yeah, he's a problem.
Might lose a little bit of that.
He's definitely a problem.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think though, I think he will move away from that a bit just to prolong his career. I'm sure.
Well, look at RG3. RG3 used to be like that, and then RG3's ACL tore, and then he just was not the same player after that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, honestly,
away from losing, your speed or agility is kind of scary. It must be scary. That's why talking to guys like Darrington Evans, like it's live. Like I admire him for rehabbing his injury because it can't be easy to go back on your first game after a big injury where you miss a season and go back and trust your knee to not give out again. Like that's gotta be terrifying. I probably wouldn't be able to do it.
Definitely not.
Multiple knee injuries and they keep on going out and fighting. It's gotta be scary.
Yeah, it's definitely. I'm sure it's very scary, especially for like running backs and stuff like that to try to do it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Even I think one of the most impressive things as a Vikes fan for me was Adrian Peterson when he came back. So he tore his ACL. I drafted him first overall in fantasy that year, and he tore his ACL right at the beginning of the season. Missed an entire year, and then came back the next year and won MVP on his surgically repaired knee and went for over 2,000 yards. So for me, like. Obviously, 2,000 yards is cool. Guys have done it before. A few guys have done it.
Yeah.
But doing it, coming back from a catastrophic injury, that was what kind of made it special for me. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna play a little name association game with you.
Yeah, sure.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you a current NFL player, and you have to give me an all-time player that you think matches them as closely as possible. Cool. Let's start with. Let's start with Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. I'm going to say Joe Namath.
Okay. I can see that.
Hockey. I think he's got like swagger to him.
Yeah, I can agree with that. They both are had a lot of swag in, Namath's case, but yeah, they had swag and all that type of stuff, so I think that's a fair comparison. Let's go with your guy Jay Jettas.
Right. Oh man, I think okay. So with Justin Jefferson, honestly, it's funny. I would say Deion Sanders, but even Deion Sanders is a defensive player. But he reminds me like his swagger kind of reminds me of that, and the way that he seems to just have fun and love the game. But as far as like an NFL comparison, Stephon Diggs, he reminds me exactly of Stephon Diggs. Incredible route runner, not the most physically gifted, not the fastest or the tallest player on the field. They're almost identical. Like there was zero drop off from one to the other. I do think Jefferson has an even higher ceiling though, but I think the world of Diggs. I think Diggs is incredibly talented. So yeah, that's Stephon Diggs is probably the best comparison for him.
All right, that's fair. I think this one's going to be a tough one for you. Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. Oh man, it's like he has like the height of a Brandon Jacobs. He's obviously 10 times the player Brandon Jacobs was. Damn, who? I'm trying to think of like he's got like the truck ability of like a Jerome Bettis, and then he can just run guys over.
I was gonna honestly say Jerome Bettis was what I would have went with.
Yeah, Jerome Bettis, he kind of reminds me of, but at the same time, I'd say maybe the closest if I had to pick somebody who has the whole package like him, probably Marshawn Lynch in his prime.
Oh yeah, Marshawn Lynch was a fucking demon.
He broke 1 million tackles. On a run, he could break 10 tackles if he needed to. So I'd say Marshawn Lynch in his prime reminds me of Derrick Henry.
All right, Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert. Okay, let me think here, because I do like Herbert's game a lot, and I haven't caught a lot of Chargers games. But if I had to go like career trajectory, so he's got mobility, he's got an arm, got a good head on his shoulders. I'm thinking.
Keep in mind too, he doesn't like to be on camera very much, too. He tries to avoid the camera.
See here. I mean, could we say Tom Brady? Could we say Tom Brady? I feel like he would be a Tom Brady-esque type guy. Like,
yeah, I think...
Except way more mobile than Tom Brady.
I think I can see that, because, like, Tom Brady was never, like, the most vocal leader.
Definitely not. Like,
He became a vocal leader in situations. He was a vocal leader, and much like Herbert. Herbert's not an in-your-face type of leader. He's quiet. He lets others do the talking. But when they're on the field, then that's when you can see him kind of get more loud with what he's talking about, and trying to get people to do what they're supposed to do and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I definitely can see that comparison too. I wouldn't have thought Tom Brady off the bat, but thinking about it a little bit more, that's definitely good.
Yeah, I could see it. Like obviously more mobile than Tom Brady, and
I feel like
I see the intensity. Like Brady was a very intense player. Definitely.
I'm gonna say who he reminds me of.
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of Josh Allen. I know they're both currently in the league, but they both have the build, they both have speed to them, they both have fucking cannons.
Yeah.
The only difference, though, to me, is that, once again, it's that vocal thing. Allen's a lot more vocal with his guys, and I think Herbert will grow into being more vocal on the field, but I feel like he's just enjoying the game as he likes to play it right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like if he is asked to be in that role where he has to be more vocal, I feel like he can handle it.
Yeah. You know who I see Josh Allen as? I see him kind of as a John Elway type. I think he will win a championship at some point. I think that, well, hopefully. It's hard to win an NFL championship. It's really tough. But I see him as the huge arm, huge arm. I'd say Mahomes is maybe the only person who has a better arm than him, just God-given talent, as far as how far and how hard and fast he can throw the ball.
I gotta say,
Bruiser too can make those runs. He's not like a scrambling quarterback, but he can.
No, I gotta say,
get a 10-yard run every once in a while.
I gotta say, Josh Allen, Mahomes, and Herbert are the only three that are on the relatively same level in terms of arm talent and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, it's a lot of good young quarterbacks in the league right now.
Another guy that he gets compared to a lot, Herbert, not Allen, is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I could see it. Rodgers is a guy who has incredible touch on his passes. He's got incredible football IQ, very accurate, one of the most accurate, and he doesn't throw picks. He really barely throws picks. I like Aaron Rodgers a lot. I think Aaron Rodgers is, one of the top 5 quarterbacks all time. I really do think that. I think he's that good. Obviously, he plays in a quarterback-friendly era too, but
yeah,
that would be a great comparison. If you could say, if you said that Justin Herbert was going to turn into Aaron Rodgers or have a career like Aaron Rodgers, I think you're going to be looking at least a championship or two down in LA.
I feel like if the ownership isn't stupid and did to Herbert what it was doing with Rivers getting rid of all his best guys and all that, I feel like he can win them a championship within the next 3 seasons.
They're ready to win now. It's a tough division. They've got, the Chiefs are doing a minor rebuild. They'll still be good. The Broncos they're in win now mode as well. All the teams in the division are in win now mode. So I definitely think that they could win one in 3 years. I think whoever wins that division could probably be the Super Bowl favorite. To be honest, I think whoever wins that division and is able to beat those other teams 2 times each, that's who's going to win the Super Bowl, in my opinion. So if the Chargers win the division, then put them down as my favorite for next year for the Super Bowl, for sure.
And the biggest thing about the AFC West, as we mentioned before, is that when Derek Carr is your worst quarterback in your division, then your division is very stacked. Derek Carr is the maybe 11 to 13th best quarterback in the league right now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have Patrick Mahomes is 1 or 2. The only one that would be above him would be Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I could see it. It's funny, the top 5, I think Justin Herbert is there's even an argument for him to be top 5 already. It's I look at the top 5, I'm okay, I'm putting Patrick Mahomes, not necessarily in this order, but Patrick Mahomes, I think, is number one. Aaron Rodgers is still up there. I think Josh Allen is up there. I think Josh Allen's really, like, he's a top 5 in my eyes. And then it's like after that, I don't really know. Like Herbert, Lamar Jackson, if he gets back to his MVP form, like
Russell Wilson.
That elite group. Now we got to start looking at Deshaun Watson too. He could potentially be a top 5 quarterback too if he goes back to his pre.
Well, he's gonna be in a very like revenge season type of deal, you know.
Oh yeah.
And if I was in the AFC North, I would be very afraid if I was in the NFC North because he's going to torch that division to the ground because he just lost a year of his career over this situation.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And then that's already a tough division, too. Like, the Steelers are obviously, Roethlisberger's retired. They're going to be in a rebuild type situation.
The Ravens have Lamar.
Yeah, like the Ravens are still, like...
And then you got the Bengals.
Now, but they had a rough year last year. It's a tough division, and the Bengals are just in their coming out party right now. Like they went further than I think anyone thought they could. So
I mean, let's be honest. Going into next season, how many people would have the Bengals being more than 6 wins, let alone winning the division?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's a real Cinderella story that they made it all the way to the Super Bowls for sure. So they were a fun team to root for. Like when everyone else's teams got eliminated, it was fun to kind of root for the underdog. But yeah, like I would have never thought that they would get there that quick.
Definitely not.
Joe Burrow is and how good the core is that they're building down there.
I mean, Herbert, and I've said this in a lot of Twitch streams and on Twitter quite a bit. Herbert and Burrow got drafted for different reasons, and the teams drafted who they knew fit what they wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like Herbert had arguably the biggest shoes to fill out of all the rookies for the last 2 seasons. Because he's having to fill the shoes of not only Phillip Rivers, but you kind of have to fill the shoes of Drew Brees, too, in some capacity as well. And I think he's done quite a good job at doing that.
Oh, man. Yeah, you can't look at his first few years in the league and say that you're not happy. Like, so far, he's done a great job, like, as a player in this league. He's done everything that's asked of him, and he looks like he has potential to do even more. So.
I mean, with that run defense alone... If the run defense wouldn't have been as bad as it was last season, I think we win 12 games, 11 or 12, 13 games.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised next year if somebody, said that, I think they're guaranteed at least 10, but like honestly, I think 11 or 12 is not out of the question at all. Especially given the fact that we have 17 games now instead of 16. I think 11 or 12 could be very realistic.
And the fact that we're going to have Bosa and Mac rushing passers on a lot of different plays, sometimes on the same side, you know.
Yeah. I wouldn't be crazy. Like, if they go off to like a 6-0, 7-0 start, I would not be surprised. With like, who knows? They could be the best team in the league next year. They have that much talent on their roster. I really do think the Chargers are looking really good.
We just got to...
I don't think they'll have like a perfect season or like a really, really good season because their division is so tough they could foreseeably split a couple games.
I also do not like making undefeated predictions on any team, because every time somebody does that, that team either doesn't make the playoffs or just falls short of the Super Bowl every single time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I never predict a perfect season. I always keep, like last season, I predicted they'd go, like, at best 14-3 and at worst 10-7, and I was one game off from the bottom of that prediction, and because of goddamn Staley calling that timeout.
Yeah, I know. That was a weird situation too, with like the playoff hopes of other teams riding on that game. It was so strange. I don't even know what the thinking process was for the coaching team.
I don't know if you saw the video, but they did a mic'd up for that game.
Yeah.
And Herbert's like, I've never cheered this much for a fucking tie in my life.
Yeah, no kidding. That's hilarious.
Like, he's a competitor. He doesn't like to lose, but I think anybody, fans and teammates alike, were definitely rooting for a tie there or a win. They definitely did not want a loss there.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
But I think that with that capital from the Dolphins.
Yeah.
But unless they nail on at least half of the picks they have, I do think that they are the worst defense in that division.
Yeah.
And I think other defenses in the division know exactly what they need to do to stop Mahomes or slow him down. So it's going to be up to Mahomes adapting like he did this past season, but to a much bigger degree, or they're going to have to rely on the run game more.
Yeah, and I don't know if they even have the tools to rely on the run game. I don't know if they even have like the back that's going to lead the way. I think Edwards-Helaire is a good receiving back. I think, I don't think they have like an elite running back on their team really. I wouldn't.
Definitely not.
Elite. But I was saying this. I still think Mahomes is going to be a perennial Pro Bowler. I still think he's going to go down as being one of the have a really really good career. I still think he's going to win another Super Bowl at some point. But I think now without Tyreek, I think it's going to be a lot harder for him. He's going to have to work harder this year than he has any season in the NFL. He was kind of given an amazing assortment of weapons, and now he's going to have to do more with weapons, and that's going to be difficult. It's going to put a lot of
Let's be honest, his first couple seasons, he was handed a Super Bowl team on a golden platter, basically.
Yeah.
And now he's going to have to learn what Herbert had to learn and what other rookies are learning this year and last year. You're not going to get the best teams every year, and you're going to have to as the quarterback, you're going to have to try to pull them into the best situation you can pull them into.
Yeah, he's going to have to basically...
By the way, can we talk about how we only allowed the Browns 2 yards?
Oh, yeah. No, the Browns, that's actually crazy. And how many, that's actually wild. Was that in your guys' playoff game?
No, that was regular season, but damn.
That's insane. That's insane. Like, that's something you don't
Okay,
see,
Jimmy Garoppolo was playing, so we have to keep that in mind.
Oh, the Niners. Did you say the Niners?
No, the Browns.
Oh, geez, you're talking about this game. I thought you were talking about the Chargers versus Browns or something. I was like, oh my god, that's hilarious. That's a hell defense right there.
But he had 35 yards in that pick, so he didn't help matters. But let's see how our team did real quick. Take a second. Rodgers did not look good.
No.
I don't think I'm re-signing him. Najee Harris did okay. Yeah, Najee Harris did pretty good. Nobody did any touchdowns. I think all our touchdowns were on defense.
Yeah, defensive battle for sure.
Receiving-wise, nobody really did anything. Marquise Brown did okay, I suppose. Pat Frymuth, tight end, did okay. And Chase Claypool, I just re-signed him, but you're not making it look like that was a good idea.
Canadian Voltron. I love Chase Claypool. He seems like a bit of a loser, though, to be honest. His personality, he doesn't have that winning
yeah, definitely not.
Freak,
4 sacks allowed isn't ideal, but to be fair, these are both young guys, so.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it's Madden, so nobody actually does well in Madden.
Yeah, facts.
2 sacks for TJ Watt, 1 for Alex Highsmith.
There you go.
And then
Player of the year in real life.
the pick by Devin White, which was, I'm guaranteed, was one of our touchdowns there. And it was. Where'd the other points come from then? Because Rodgers,
I have no clue.
Rodgers didn't get a touchdown. Najee didn't get a touchdown.
What the hell? That's so weird.
Was it just
Goals? How many field goals kick in this game? Probably 10 field goals kicked.
3 for 3 on field goals, so there's still points. Oh wait, now I know what happened. It was the 3 field goals by him, the pick 6, and then they did a 2-point conversion. That's what happened.
Oh, there you go. That makes more sense.
But the fact that Chris Boswell had more points than the offense did.
Yeah.
That's pretty. Aaron, we're trading Aaron before we get into our next game. We need somebody else.
Get a 6th-round pick for him. That's the problem in Madden and these franchise modes. They have no trade value. Once they get like over 36, you can't trade them for anything. It's so tough, even if they have X factors. But yeah, okay, Coach. I was wondering. I got to do a little bit of stuff around the house here. But did you have anything else? Any other stuff that you wanted to touch on in the podcast?
Yeah, there's a couple more things I want to touch on. I'm going to put one more game on. I think that'll meet the expectation I have for most of my podcasts is about 3 games. So
Sounds good.
when we're done with that one, then we'll I should have all my points taken care of. I have all of them written down and all that. So, but let's do a real quick. Let's see who we can trade Aaron Rodgers to, and then we can hop into the Rams game, which I feel like is going to be a loss, but we'll see. What's their record though? 3-2. Okay, that's. But we got to worry about that man, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. Demon.
He came out of nowhere this year, to be honest.
Oh yeah, no, he really did. Like I always thought of him as like a fairly unathletic dude. Like I was surprised. I thought he was just like a favorite target, like a little safety blanket type player that just got kind of like Keenan Allen, where he just gets targets every single year. So of course he's going to be good. But I think he's actually like a really talented route runner. Like he actually catches the ball in traffic a lot better than I thought. He turned, basically like what Sean McVay was saying was that he's sneaky. Like people don't think he's athletic or as fast or as strong or as smart as he is, but he's actually really good at all those things.
Do we give Gardner Minshew a chance?
Oh boy.
Do we do this?
I don't know, man. You might be going off a cliff there. Your record might be.
Okay, I'm actually you've talked me out of it. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Minshew and Regs might be kind of nasty in a bad way.
Maybe we try to get Trevor Lawrence. That's not going to work, but it actually did. It actually just went through.
Oh, no shot.
Well,
Awesome.
I guess Trevor Lawrence is starting for us now.
Hey, there you go. Getting younger, I like that.
Getting super young. Probably could have added some picks, but and I'm not going to poke holes in this or anything. I'm just going to enjoy the fact that I could get. Yeah, let's not get greedy.
Exactly.
I mean, I just went from 39 to like 22, so I can't be mad about it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you can do a lot more sim seasons now.
Yeah, because we drafted a rookie last season, and he had like 12 touchdowns, like 9 picks. He did not do good, and it looked like Aaron Rodgers was on pace to do like basically that. And so I'm like, okay, well, we can trade him now, I guess. And I could have probably gotten a first or a second or something like that with it too, but that almost 20-year drop off in age is enough to make me just do it straight up and not be too mad about it.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
And we get to see Trevor Lawrence play, I'm assuming, Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
So that this will be fun. Okay, so next thing I wanted to ask you about. This is a question that's actually fresh for for this podcast. I haven't asked this question to anybody else yet.
Nice.
So it's a bit of a test question for you.
Yeah, sure.
So everyone has commands in their chat, right?
Yes.
What would you say is the favorite command in your chat, the most used command in your chat, and the funniest command in your chat?
Dang. Oh my god. Okay, I gotta think here. Am I allowed to cheat and pull up my Nightbot?
I mean,
not I have to off the top of my head here.
I mean, you can theoretically do that, but I mean, you have a lot of commands, to be fair.
I do have a lot of commands. It's funny. I feel like commands aren't really used too much. Like my guy Circ82, who's always in the chat, is always typing my dot command, but I've fallen short. I haven't had it dropped 1,000 times yet. I'm actually curious if there's a way to track which of my commands are most used. But honestly, I like having the commands in my chat for like all the streamers that have been on around Yellowhorn. That's something that I kind of is fun to do because it allows me to kind of promote people who have helped me out by being on the podcast. And
Yeah.
So any of those commands, I probably drop the Luch and Adam one the most because when people ask me for coin making advice, I just drop my ! Adam command. And Luch is always showing up in the chat or go easy, so I always drop their links as well. I think my ! Cancel command, where it says boo the streamer, he's canceled, gets used the most other than those shoutout commands.
That's probably fair.
People like to cancel me every chance they get. I'm just looking through my Nightbot now and I'm finding McNuggets creates commands that I have to delete every single day. Even when I don't stream, I get commands made by McNuggets that.
I think I remembered in chat a few days ago in Fendler's chat, there was a command that randomly came up and he had no idea where the hell it came from. And it was linked to his first name and it was a Toy Story reference. And we were gonna wait until DT Wings came in to explain to us why he made that command. But then somebody was like, nah, that command doesn't exist now, it's gone. No taking chances. But it was Andy, so it was I think it was I have a snake in my boot.
Oh yeah, I remember that from the original Toy Story back in '95. That's a throwback.
Yeah, I wasn't even born for that movie.
I have one hidden one here that I forgot about. There's one guy who came into my chat. His name was Smelly Meat 92, and his first message in the chat was, "Yo Murph, sniff my taint." So I copy and pasted that, and I added him. So now anytime he comes in the chat, somebody talks to him, I'll remember who this guy is. He did come back months later, actually, and use that command. I was like, damn. Some people just say stuff that's so messed up that you can never get it out of your head.
You can never let them live it down.
Yeah, exactly. But then, so yeah, you asked about the most popular one. Popular one is probably maybe my cancel command or my dot command. Even though I don't throw that many dots, it's just people being generous. Yeah, I personally like adding all the shout-out commands for like the guys that've been on around the Alahorn. It's kind of like a small little thing that I can do because giving up time to do stuff like that is really important, and I do appreciate it. Yeah, and as far as like emotes too, I think the D emote that I added is pretty popular right now, but obviously the good old-fashioned skull hypes and yellow horns are probably my favorites because I've had those from the get-go.
Yeah, I feel like that would be probably the best answer. I remember you had, I think it was a Keller one for your...
My Healy emote.
Yeah, the one when you throw picks.
I dropped in the chat. I still have it, but I don't remember what slot it's in. It's not on my stream deck, so I don't spam it a lot, but yeah, this is my personal favorite emote. The Healy emote, because that's Jeff Healy, so he's a Canadian artist. He did a cover of George Harrison's While My Guitar Gently Weeps, like from the Beatles.
Yeah.
He did a cover of that one, and that's his biggest hit. But you see, he had other hits too. He was big in like the 80s. But he was blind too, and I was like, people say throwing a Stevie. I'm like, I'm going to say throwing a Healy because it's a Canadian twist on it. And yeah, Monkey cooked that emote up for me. I still love that emote. I'm going to always keep it, even if like only 5% of the people in my chat actually get it. It's more for me than it is for them.
Yeah. I'd say probably one of the commands I remember using the most too is I think no, it wasn't in your chat. It was in somebody else's actually.
Oh yeah.
There was one command. It's in a VTubers one where you type in the guy's name and you put a random thing after it, like insult, and Nightbot actually insults them.
Oh, I love that. That's cool. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. Like even the stuff like commands that have a counter. Every time you use it counts. Like that stuff. I think Wicked Live or somebody set that up for me. I have no idea how to do any of the fancy commands. Blue probably knows though.
Like,
he's a good guy. If you're in touch with Blue, he would know how to set up all the glitchy.
Like if I were to type like insult MurphyD, it would say something along the lines of MurphyD is a tricycle riding monkey or something like that.
Exactly.
Nightbot's insults are kind of funny and kind of weird at the same time, and then there's ones that miss the mark, but that's the type of thing. It's like it randomly throws words together that make sense but also don't make sense. And
like a Mad Libs kind of thing. I used to like do Mad Libs back in the day.
Mad Libs are kind of still...
A random pronoun, adjective, whatever, and then you come up with some crazy story.
I feel like that's how some people made their Twitch names, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they just looked at a Mad Lib and went...
You see those accounts in Madden, if you're ever playing head-to-head seasons, and you see those accounts in Madden with, like, random, it'll be like, it'll be 3 random words put together. It's like, exactly like Mad Libs. So if I see, like, a random name that has no connectivity between them and then a number at the end, I know it's a burner account. Some computer that's just trying to farm points.
Well, Trevor Lawrence just met Aaron Donald there.
Yeah.
I don't think he liked that meeting very much.
Yeah, I'd say not.
I don't think many people like meeting Aaron Donald that way. That I don't think anyone would.
Like, there's talk of him potentially retiring, but I think Aaron Donald's got a lot of good years of football left.
I think he mentioned he was going to come back this year for certain. I think if he said he kept everybody, but they already got rid of Vaughn, so they already got rid of Vaughn, so who knows?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't see him walking away yet, but I mean, Andrew Luck kind of. Actually, who was it? It was really the first player that I can remember who retired super young to avoid injury was that middle linebacker on the Niners back in the day. Bosworth, I think was his name.
Yeah.
And he I think led the league in tackles as a rookie, and then I think he retired. He was just worried about the toll it was taking on him, like from a brain health perspective. So.
And then I think
allowed players like Aaron Donald. Like Aaron Donald has nothing left to prove. In my opinion, he's won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's the most dominant player of his generation. He could retire now. He's still a first ballot Hall of Famer.
He's like the J.J. Watt of his draft class, basically.
Pardon?
J.J. Watt. He's like the J.J. Watt of his draft class.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, J.J. Watt's another guy who was incredible. Like I think J.J. Watt's won multiple. How many times he won Defensive Player of the Year? At least 2 times, maybe 3 times.
Yeah, 2 or 3. I think he's 2 or 3, and I think Donald has like 2 or 3 as well.
Yeah, which is basically you could argue even in a year where Donald doesn't win Defensive Player of the Year, like you could have argued, let's say some defensive back has 15 interceptions, has a crazy season. I think Aaron Donald could win it any year, and nobody would be like, oh, that's wrong.
Yeah.
He's always in the conversation. He's always going to be top 3 best defensive.
I think the Watt brothers and like Aaron Donald and a few other guys like that. Not so much JJ now because he's older, but there's a few guys like TJ, Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner even. Like there's all these guys that I think always have a case for Defensive Player of the Year, even if the stats don't show it.
For sure, yeah. Bobby Wagner's more tackles than anybody since he's been in the league, like by a large margin.
I'm still wondering where he goes too, because that's one guy that hasn't been signed, and I don't know where he's going yet.
I know. Yeah, it's weird. Like I heard people talking about Dallas. Dallas already has a lot of good like edge rushers, and they lost Randy Gregory, but they've got a lot of good.
I heard Rams too.
Linebackers too.
I heard Rams too. I heard Rams too at one point.
I mean, I could see it depending on how much he's willing to sign for. They're probably right by the cap, I'd imagine. Like I imagine they still got a lot of salary cap tied up on their current roster, but yeah, that'd be a good fit too. I think he'd be good on a lot of teams. I think him on the Vikings. If we're moving to a 3-4, Eric Kendricks and like I would love him on the Vikings. I just don't think we have money for it. I think he'll still get a decent salary somewhere.
That's like I was saying how Kaiser White signed with the Eagles today. I'm just like, okay, where is that money going to get allocated to? Are we going to draft a middle linebacker again in hopes that he doesn't turn into Kenneth Murray again? Are we going to sign someone like Bobby Wagner to fill that role? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, he'd fit into pretty much any scheme. Like, he's a really good middle linebacker, good coverage guy, great sideline to sideline speed, even if he is in the process of losing a step. I think.
I mean, the only reason.
Would be like, give me that guy.
Like, if someone like us, like the Chargers, were to get Bobby Wagner, we'd have guaranteed the best linebacking core in the NFL.
Yeah.
We'd have Mack, Bosa, and then Wagner would be our centerpiece if we were to get him. And all 3 of those guys can play the pass and the run.
Yeah, no, they're versatile. Yeah, Khalil Mack's been a Pro Bowler as the D lineman and as a linebacker, so he's versatile too. And Bosa, same thing. He can play either D line or outside linebacker. So yeah, they got a lot of flexibility depending on like what scheme they want to come out in. But definitely a 3-4. Definitely going to be a 3-4 defense that was really solid.
So that's definitely something that's been wild this season. I think this offseason has been probably one of the most wild ones we've had in quite some time.
Yeah.
And it's still not over yet. We still have a couple weeks of free agency, and we still have the draft we got to get through.
Yeah.
So let's push it from football back to streaming for a second.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so we all know by now a lot of us streamers met in Fendler's chat, and then those that didn't meet in his chat met in his CFM for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we all basically started right around the same time, too.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. In that springtime of Madden 20, it was when a lot of us got into it, you're right.
And that's actually, like, me watching the guys that I was watching at the time was the main reason I actually got into the MUT thing, because before that I never played MUT. I didn't care about the mode very much, and I just played my franchise modes and that's it. And then like Fendler got me into it a little bit, and then like Maze GC, I think Silent Ninja, Retro Yimmy, those type of guys really got me into playing MUT. So I'm kind of glad I met them, because even though I still don't play MUT as much as like a lot of the other people do, I actually do find some enjoyment in it now.
Yeah, and what I like about what you're doing is that you kind of find a way to do it your own way. Like even this, like it's kind of cool having the simulated franchise games on as a backdrop. Like I like that idea. Creating that you've always done like the streamer teams and stuff. That's always been really cool. Like you found kind of your little niche in Madden. You don't have to do it the same way everyone else does. Play weekend league.
Play weekend league or build the same exact team everyone else is building, and it's just
exactly.
That's one thing in MUT that I think really sucks. How they build the mode is very. You have to have these players to be good.
100% the meta players. Like it gets a little bit better later in the year, but like honestly, it's true. Like whenever new this week maybe being the exception, the Ultimate Legends kind of sucked. Other than Steve McNair, all the pro guys are going to get Steve McNair now.
Yeah, Steve McNair. I think I heard the same thing from Luch in his stream, and a few other people's like, yeah, Steve McNair's like the only guy any of us really want. Rest of them are kind of just there.
Like he gets escape artist and gunslinger, and he'll have the best release in the game. He has the Aaron Rodgers release, Slinger 1. So honestly, he has everything that you look for in a quarterback. He's kind of an end game guy.
See, and that's kind of like the fact that a quarterback has to have Slinger 1 to be like really good kind of sucks too. Because like I think they do players like, I don't know if Joe Burrow has Slinger 1, but
I think he might have generic 3 or something, which is I think the same one. I never used the Joe Burrow card, but I think he has like the 3rd best release in the game.
But like people like
Cunningham now is like the 2nd best release. He's really good.
People like Burrow and like Herbert and a few others, they get really like shafted a bit on like that front. I feel like
Mahomes is unusable. Mahomes, we had that free 88 overall card at the beginning of the year. Mahomes you cannot use. He has too much of a hitch in his throw. You can't get the ball off in time. It's horrible. I was using like an 83 Josh Allen instead of that 88 Patrick Mahomes. Like the release is so important.
Yeah,
I'd
which
much rather use a bad overall player with a good release than a good player with a bad release, you know?
yeah, it sucks that that you have to have ones with you have to have Slinger on this guy. You have to have 99 speed across the board to be good at the game, and it's like, what happened to like the old day, like the super early days of MUT when you can put together any team and everyone would use whatever that cards they wanted, and you can actually like have a decent shot at winning, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It changed a lot. Like it really has. And I never got huge into MUT until probably like maybe around like Madden 17, Madden 18. I used to always just play offline franchise. Like I didn't play a ton of video games. I would mix in COD every once in a while. Like, but yeah, I didn't really get super into MUT until maybe around Madden 17. And then since then, it's always been like, yeah, you gotta get the best players to stay relevant, 100%.
So with Madden's current thing, you know, it did a super, like what we're watching right now, it did a super, like, reboot of, like, franchise mode. It almost, like, took it down from the, like, ground, burned it, and then rebuilt it for the new game. There's obviously some tweaks that need to be made still, but they'll figure it out, I think, next Madden. They'll be able to kind of perfect it, but they have all the groundwork in place now.
It's kind of cool, like, this little screen here, like, going from match to match and showing you the updates. I think that's kind of neat.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite features about it, is that moving around the map thing that they do. And then the other thing that I think that they need to do is with the MUT thing specifically, I think they need to have like a head-to-head menu that has like a branch off, where you don't pick your branch off, it picks it for you. So like, say your team's like a 97. It takes you in one direction, and my team's an 82. It sends me in the opposite direction to kind of make matchmaking actually like work instead of like me getting paired up with your team. Like, if I were to play Weekend League right now, I'd understand that, but like head to head, like I have a 70-something overall team because they're all power-ups right now, and I'd still get put into like a 99 overall teams thing, and it's like, why?
Yeah, by Christmas time, you got to have like a really good mid-90s team, like, and then if you're coming in at Christmas time into the game, like if you're a kid coming in who hasn't put a lot of time into MUT, you're gonna get flooded. It's not even.
And then.
So definitely, I think what would fix that is just giving all Madden seasons again. I don't know why.
Yeah.
They gave us all Madden seasons last year. All the comp guys prefer playing all Madden because that's what they play in tournaments, so they'd all go there. And then the casual players could stay in regular head-to-head seasons and then do their thing in that mode. I preferred all Madden seasons too. I really like all Madden better than all Pro. So hopefully, I hope like next year they just give us both of them at the start so we can pick what we want to run. And all Madden Weekend League, like I would much prefer that. It plays a lot more like CFM.
So far, this is another defensive slugfest here, 6-3 right now, and
yeah, no kidding.
In the side of the Rams right now.
Yeah.
Minka coming up with a massive pick there, though.
Nice.
So, with Madden being like your main thing, what are your plans when it hits the off season between Maddens? Like, what are you going to do for that?
It's a good question.
Because I know you're doing the CFM, which I still have not played a game on. Sorry.
It's all good. It's kind of done now a little bit.
But I feel like in Madden 2020, that's what we kind of did. was we all got into Fen CFM, and that kept it alive for a while. But I don't know, it just feels like...
Time we waited until probably right around this time of year, probably late March, April, to start the CFM. So it was fresh, whereas this CFM we've been doing, there's some iteration of it we've been doing since August. Like, I think we did it in, like, August before I went back to school, to work. So it's,
it's tough.
We've been doing 6 months of CFM now, so guys are getting tired of it. A lot of guys have moved to next gen, which is understandable. So I think that's part of it. It's just, it would be a lot easier to keep it fresh if we had next gen movement.
Yeah.
But I the last couple weeks, I've been doing a lot more of the sidecast sports streams, and sidecasts are a little bit slow. They're a little bit different. Like
well, you're waiting.
People to come in.
You're waiting for the action to happen as well, too. Like, you can talk in between, like, points and stuff, but when you're doing the sports thing, you kind of have to both stay focused, but you got to not have that dead air in between scores.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like, I'm on...
I feel like...
I'll go into little moments where I get locked in the gameplay. Like, I've always enjoyed doing commentating, so, like, I'll if there's a really intense part of the game and I want people to see what I'm seeing, I'll do a little bit of color commentary. And then get really in depth as far as who's carrying the ball, but I don't do like that the entire game. Like most of it, I treat it like it's a just chatting stream, like where I'm watching the game, we're just all hanging out.
Yeah.
Whenever people are typing in the chat, I'm happy to talk about that. And then when it's the intense, clutch moments of the game that are important, that's when I'll kind of lock in. Trust me, if the Raptors lose by 30, I'm not going to be talking about what's on the screen at all. We're going to be talking about whatever's in the chat. I don't care. That's a blowout. But yeah, the game doesn't matter at that point to me.
Definitely not. You know what,
But, I like doing, one thing I've done with the Northern is, tried to turn the Northern, like, it started out as a Madden podcast, talking about, Madden, talking about a little bit of sports news. Now I've kind of made it, because I'm in this program and, we have to get at least 20 hours streamed in that directory a month, I've made it into a sports podcast, and I think I'll continue that. I like it in a sports format. Doesn't mean we can't always talk about Madden as well. Madden's going to be the primary game that I play. I don't think I'll get into MLB The Show this year as much. If I do get the game, it'll just be to play in like Lucha's CFM and play off stream, but I think I'm going to stick with Madden throughout. I think normally for small streamers like myself, it's the dead season when a lot of people go to MLB The Show is when we really get to have more viewers and share share in that viewership in the Madden directory. So that's what I'm hoping for at least.
So I have some breaking news, actually. A message just came across my screen for this.
Oh, yeah?
And I have to wait for my app to load here for a minute, because it sometimes does not like to. But I actually have a big announcement. You're going to be the first one that hears it, because you're here. I did just lock down a guest for the podcast.
Nice.
We're going to have to sort out time still, but on, I believe it said Tuesday or Thursday, I will have Nick Minesco on the podcast.
Let's go. That's exciting, man. That's a huge one. Hey, Nick Minesco's a cool dude. I got to, I know him from Fenn's community, and I know him obviously from the MCS commentating, but I was kind of able to chill with him a little bit in Discord the other day. I don't know if you saw K. Harry did a trivia show that he's doing on Wednesday nights, the Wednesday Night Showdown. So it had like 15 streamers in there, and it was me, Nico Cinco, and Go Geezy was one of the teams, and Fendler, Nick Minesco, and who was the other big daddy? I'm trying to think who was on that team. I can't remember now. But it was him and 3 guys on the team as well, so I got to hang out with to talk to Nick. He's a funny dude. He's a really funny dude. You're going to have a great time interviewing him for sure.
And then I have Sapper set for Monday.
Nice, Sap Daddy. I like that. Yeah, that's going to be fun too. Let's go. You got a stacked list.
And then obviously we had you today, which kind of kicked off the this section of interviews.
Yeah.
And
no, I love it. I'm happy to be on.
And like what you were saying with having to try to figure out podcasts too. Yeah. I try the approach where I try to kind of have big like streamer guys or decent sized streamer guys on, and I have like viewers that a lot of people know, and I have that mixture of both, right? So like I have you on today, you kind of fall under that big-ish streamer side. Then I had DK Nice, obviously he falls under a pretty big streamer.
For sure, yeah.
And then I have people like Sapper, who isn't a big streamer, but everyone knows him.
Yeah, he's very
And then same thing with, I had, who was the other guy I had? Well, I have Nick Minesco, that's one of the in-between guys right now. And I had people like Rox and Basehead Rob on, too, who are kind of in that middle area as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, those are some really solid streamers right there as well.
I do have an idea for your Northern podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
You should have a specific episode just called The Gifter's Corner.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
And
for the
it'll consist of me, Pyro, and Nick Minesco.
Hey, Nick Minesco would be a dope
and then
for sure.
You can find the fourth guy, because there's a lot of other guys that could be that fourth guy. I'm going to let you figure that one out. But I gave you the first three. You just got to get everyone on the same page.
I like that idea. I like that idea for sure. We can definitely see if we can work out something in the schedule. But I think that'd be a lot of fun. If you guys are willing to talk a little bit of sports, I'd be down for it.
Sports, I'm down to talk anything, man. I'm down to talk anything. Which, by the way, when am I going to get my own podcast on your channel? Now that we're talking on mine, I got to figure out when we're going to talk on yours.
Oh, absolutely, man. Expect to get a DM. I would love to throw you on an episode of The Northern or whatnot, and always looking for more people to collaborate with, for sure. You know, I've had some regulars on there, but a lot of the time it's just a grab bag of different people that I'm kind of talking to that week that end up getting on the show. So
yeah,
we could definitely make that happen for sure.
So the score has yet to change.
Yeah, that's a battle here.
Where it looks like we could get a field goal, assuming that was almost a pick. I almost jinxed the fuck out of that. But as long as we don't make any mistake here, we can at least tie it and send it to OT. But they do have Cooper Kupp, and I don't like that idea. So if they can score a touchdown, that would be great. And let's talk a little bit about Matthew Stafford real quick.
Yeah.
Now, you obviously watched him for the better part of his career playing with the Lions. And he was obviously always linked to the Lions because he played with them, and so no one really knew if he was the problem or if the Lions were the problem.
Yeah.
So tell me, let's go back a year. What was your reaction when Stafford was traded to the Rams?
Honestly, my reaction was kind of just meh. I didn't care. It's not like I was like, oh, thank God Stafford's out of the division. You know, it wasn't like my reaction if Aaron Rodgers got traded last year. I would have been ecstatic. I'd have been like, thank God we can finally breathe in this division. When Stafford got traded, I really didn't care because the Lions were still bad with Stafford for years. Like, the Lions have been terrible for a long time. So it wasn't like any sense of relief or anything. You know, I think for Stafford, I was happy because he was put in a really, really good situation where they had, you know, multiple, Jalen Ramsey potentially the best cornerback at his position, at least top 5. Aaron Donald potentially the best defensive lineman in the league. He had a ton of weapons on offense. You know, a veteran team around him in win-now mode. So I was like, for Stafford, this is perfect. He couldn't have asked for a better situation. But, you know, Stafford was always kind of like, he'll break a bunch of passing records in his career. He still has a little bit of football left in him. He's thrown for so many yards. Like, he might end up having the most passing yards by the end of his career, depending on how long he ends up playing, just because he has aired it out, but he's never done it in an impressive way. I've never thought of him as a super elite quarterback. I've been like, yeah, there's been years where he's been a top 10 quarterback. I've never once in my life felt like he's been a top 5 quarterback in the league in any given season.
The best way to explain that is Stafford, watching, obviously you brought up a few guys earlier, but watching someone like Herbert, everyone knows he's a top 10 quarterback, undeniably.
Yeah.
When you look at Stafford, statistically he looks like a top 10, but he never looks it when he's on the field.
Yeah, he doesn't scare me. That's the thing about him. Like, I would never be like, oh damn, we got to play Matt Stafford this week. I was so worried. It was like, you know, oh whatever, no big deal. He's just the guy. Like, he never struck fear into my heart as a Vikings guy, even though we would see him twice a year in those divisional games. So, you know, obviously I think this adds to his. I think that this Super Bowl does guarantee a Hall of Fame spot for him because his numbers are going to be so great now, and now he has that Super Bowl. So I do think he will make the Hall of Fame. Do I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer? Not necessarily.
Not at all.
Lose sleep if he didn't make the Hall of Fame. But
I think it'll take him at least 4 years after when he's eligible to make it as of right now. Because, like, if, say, Patrick Mahomes retired right now, I think he ends up going into the Hall of Fame even with the minimal stats he has just because of how well he's been able to kind of more or less dominate the NFL like he has.
Yeah, for sure. And that's even tricky, too. Like, I wonder, like, I'm just thinking about that now. Mahomes, I think, is clearly, like, the most naturally gifted. Not even the most physically gifted, just the most... He just seems to have that special it factor that comes around once in a generation where...
I compare
when I
Mahomes...
I was like, he could be the guy to beat Brady's record of championships. When I saw him winning in his, like, second year playing in the league, you know?
I say Mahomes and Rodgers are the most alike in that regard. Like, just pure talent-wise, he's the new age of Aaron Rodgers, basically.
For sure. Like, I think so. And I think this will be a big test, though. Like, this current iteration of the Chiefs without Tyreek Hill, this will be his biggest test
This
yet.
is Patrick Mahomes taking what Rodgers had to do, you know, when Jordy Nelson left, basically, is when I have to actually carry this team, you know?
That's a very good comparison, actually. You're right about that, because it's true, like, once Jordy Nelson left and once Randall Cobb, you know, his prime was over and he left too, like Aaron Rodgers has had to do a lot with a lot of crap on his team. Like Devontae Adams is incredible. I think Devontae Adams is very much like, I think it was a good relationship where Rodgers probably taught him a ton. But like Rodgers has never had the best receiving core in the league. You know, maybe when I don't know, like who was with Rodgers? Greg Jennings. Like there are some of those guys that played with Rodgers early.
Well,
in his career.
Super Bowl. The Super Bowl, I think he had Jordy Nelson. He had Greg Jennings.
It's been like a bunch of mid guys, you know. Like it's Rodgers had to do a lot and carry the team on his own kind of.
And this year is going to be a very prove-it year for him as well because he doesn't have any talent to throw to now.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting to see, and I'm hoping, as a Viking fan, I'm hoping that he doesn't have it left. I hope he starts to age and start playing a little bit worse. But at the same time, like I think he's so talented that I will never take it for granted that, you know, as long as Aaron Rodgers is in the NFC North, I think the Packers are going to be the favorite to win the division every year.
Because I feel like he's like... Everyone says like Mike Tomlin and Bill Belichick can get the most out of a player. I feel like Aaron Rodgers can get the most out of his teammates.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Which is funny because it was interesting to see him kind of trash the team last year, like, you know, because he does make a lot out of it, but I think he's at the point in his career too where he's like, you know how I was talking about how it's going to get a bit harder for Mahomes now? I think he's getting older in his career and he wants to be able to win while not having to shoulder so much of the load. I think he's like, can we just get like 2 all-stars on offense to support me, and then I can still be great, but I don't have to freaking make every single pass
like
perfectly.
Right now he basically has Alan Lazard and he has Aaron Jones, and that's about all he has for help.
Yeah,
and that
nasty. It's not a good situation.
That is the most underrated, I feel like, part of Aaron Rodgers is the fact that he's never had a superstar team really around him, you know?
Yeah, they've had like some good defenses, but honestly, their records, like those years when they get 12, 13 wins, like it's on Aaron Rodgers' back for sure. Like they've never. Yeah,
and
you're right. He hasn't had like that stacked. Let's go all in this year kind of team.
It's too early for us to say it right now, but people like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert and those type of guys have shown that they can lead their team to wins and keep them in games. Like, I keep bringing up the Week 18 game against the Raiders that the Chargers had. Look at how many 3rd and 4th down conversions Herbert needed in that last quarter to get the tie and force overtime, you know?
Yeah.
There's not many quarterbacks that can consistently do that. But
that's one thing that Kirk Cousins can do is the comebacks and the clutch situations. He puts up good numbers, but kind of flounders a bit in the when he's needed the most.
But I know you're a bit of a busy man, so what are your closing thoughts here for the stream before we raid out to somebody?
Well, first and foremost, I just appreciate you taking the time to have me on, Coach. You did a great job with the interview. I really enjoyed being on here. It was nice to sit down and talk, and I just got to say that I'm really thankful to have met you in this community and for everything you've done for the Madden Twitch community. I feel like you're a great community guy. You're doing really cool things with your stream and have a good vision for your channel going forward. So really just happy to be a part of it, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Well, as also a customary thing too is I let my guests choose who we raid out to.
appreciate that.
Now,
If you don't mind, I got a couple choices here. So we're in the Madden directory now.
all right, give me your choices, and I'll give you mine, and we'll see if any of them intersect.
All right, sounds good. One of the guys I'm looking at here is Hard TV, German Madden streamer. He's always in my community. He's a really cool guy. He's a Cardinals fan. He's got a cool stream set up, and one thing I noticed with him, like once he came into my chat, I think it was like maybe Kevvol, one of the German guys. Like all the German guys always come in my chat now just from meeting Hard TV. So yeah, he's pretty awesome. He's a cool dude, and he'll definitely remember you if you show him some love.
All right.
This is how you spell his name.
You know what? I think we're going to go with that.
Hey, appreciate it. Yeah, he's cool. You'll like him. You'll like him a lot. He's he speaks good English. He might be talking in German when we go over there, but he loves to practice his English. So no, he's a cool dude. And I haven't checked out his stream in a while, so I wouldn't mind checking him out now.
Okay, so go ahead and real quickly tell us what the remainder of your day looks like here before we ship this off.
So normally, like I was planning originally, like on my calendar, it says that I'm going to do a sidecast of the Raptors game tonight against the Pacers at 7:30. But I felt like, you know what, let's just relax this Saturday, and so I'm probably going to just watch the game, play a little bit of Madden while I do that, work on some stuff for the stream, and have a low key Saturday, and then get in touch with my guests for Around the Yellow Horn tomorrow and put out that tweet as well. So that's pretty much what I'm working on tonight. And then hanging out and watching TV with my wife. That'll be the finale.
All right, man. Well, you enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll definitely be seeing you around.
Hey, appreciate it, K-Coach. Thanks so much, man.
All right, shipping the boys off.
All right.
Okay.
K-Coach, appreciate you, man.
No problem, man, and I'll see you later.
I'll hop in Hard TV's chat, but thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate that. It was fun.
No problem, man. You have a great rest of your day.
Sorry, the audio's a little bit choppy. But
all right, man. You have a great rest of your day.
Deswegen, weiß ich nicht, der stand auf dem Balkon, grillen, Sonne und Bierchen. Das waren vielleicht das Grillgut, war Hühnerfleisch und Gemüse.